Every time when I go to a different country, I like to go out with my camera and take some photos on the street. So this time when I went to Japan to attend the Lumix Summit, one of the morning, I went out with the Lumix S9 and I mounted the 26mm f8, the new lens, on the camera. So this lens is definitely not the best lens that you can choose for L mount. But I use this lens because first I need to do a review of this lens, so I want to shoot more photos and see what's good and bad about this lens. But also sometimes I find that if you use a more limiting hardware when you take photos, it could be more challenging, but it's also more fun, and if you manage to take some nice photo, it feels more rewarding. So anyway, I went out with this combo and walked around the hotel that morning. All the photos that I'm going to share with you in this video are unedited JPEG straight out of camera. I calibrate them using the real-time LUT feature of the Lumix S9. The LUT I use is the S Deep Force 1, which is not really a LUT designed for photos. So it's a LUT designed for the vlog base picture profile, which means the base ISO, if you use this LUT, is ISO 640. So this is not a LUT that I would recommend you to use for photo. I use it myself just because I was playing around with all the different LUTs and I was shooting video and photos, and this LUT looks quite nice, so I just use it. But yeah, if you take photo, you really should choose some other LUTs. But anyway, all the photos are shot in 65:24 aspect ratio, which is one of the aspect ratio you can choose on the camera, and it is one of my favorite aspect ratio, which is really wide. It looks very cinematic. I'm going to show you the photos I shot that morning, but at the same time, I'm going to roast myself a little bit. I'll tell you what I like, but also what I don't like about my photos. So hopefully this is a fun video, and let's get started.
Nothing really special about this photo, but I just like how the light and shadow that come together, and also a bit of yellow in the background. So yeah, I thought it looks pretty cool. This is just below my hotel room, so I saw these lights from my hotel room, and when I came down here, I think it looks pretty interesting, so yeah, shot this photo. I love taking photos in the early morning because on a nice sunny day, you got a lot of very nice, interesting shadow and light effect like this one, which make things looks more interesting. This stairs by itself is already interesting, but yeah, once you added the light and shadow, I think it just look even better. Now I shot two photos in a row. One is without the train in the background, and after I shot the first one, the train just passed, so I shot another photo. I can't really decide which one I like more. So yeah, maybe let me know which one of these two photos you like more. Again, another photo that I just love the light and shadow and also those hard lines in this photo. And I think the 26mm focal length works really well for this photo.
Well, it's a beautiful day today. But there are actually not that many people on the street. Even though it's in Japan, Osaka, I thought there would be more people on the street in the morning. It's a bit like, feel like I'm back in New Zealand. Not many people on the street. So yeah, that's okay. The light is beautiful, that's important. Most important.
I quite like this photo with the scooter right in the middle, and that give it a bit of motion to the picture. Unfortunately, the photo cropped the bottom of the scooter a bit, which really annoyed me. I do have the raw photo which is uncropped, so in theory I could go back to the raw photo and shift the image up, or is it down a little bit, and fix that. But because I want it to be a little challenge and all the photos are unedited straight out of camera, so this is the photo I got, which is the unedited JPEG from the camera. The lady was just walking and not looking front but just looking down, and she was thinking something. I think that makes the photo quite interesting, as you'll be thinking, what was she thinking about? I shot a couple of photos from this similar position because I really like that train parked there, the orange train with some reflected light on it, which really highlight the orange that makes that part of the train really pops out. So yeah, different photos. I think I like the second photo a little bit more because with that scooter in the foreground, that makes the photo a little bit more interesting. Now this is one of my favorite photos from that day. The composition just really works for me. There's a sign in the foreground that say no bike with a little bit of graffiti there. And then we have this person walking towards the camera slightly on the right side. So it kind of like balanced. We have the sign on the left and the person on the right. That together makes me really like this photo. When I saw this scene, I thought it looks quite nice. I really like the reflection of the bridge on the water. But after I shot the photo, I noticed something is missing. I feel like there really should be a train on that train bridge. So I walked slightly further on that bridge and was trying to take a photo of the other side of the bridge, and then I hear there was a train approaching. So I turned around and shot this photo. I myself like this photo a lot more than the last one. So after taking that previous photo, I then turned around and shot this photo. I quite like how everything looks kind of symmetrical in this photo.
One of the things missing from the S9 is the electronic viewfinder. But for me, because I usually don't really use electronic viewfinder when I'm taking photo on the street, so it's not too much a problem.
Having said that, because I'm using a manual focus lens, so sometimes when I try to focus, I do pull the camera to my face, thinking there is an electronic viewfinder, and then notice that, oops, there isn't one. But that's okay, it's just something that I think I just need to adjust to. And should be better if I keep shooting with this camera for a few more days. The lighting here is beautiful. Just waiting for the right moment. Let's see my subject. I want he to look up. Then that'd be great. Oh, there's a picture in there. Right. Nobody's coming right now. Should I wait? Oh, there's a bicycle coming. I really love it when there's some strong direct sunlight when I go out take some photos on the street, because the light and shadow really make the photo very interesting. If you find the right angle and right composition, it could look fantastic. Now what I want is a train on the left side on the bridge. I think that will make the photo more interesting. So should I wait a couple of minutes for the next train? Yeah, I think I should. Okay, let's wait here. Right, all the settings ready. Composition. Oh, train coming. Oh, it's a bit too low. I thought the train will be extending a little bit higher, but it doesn't. Still okay.
I like the composition of this photo. It's symmetrical, but the lighting is not really good. That person is in the shadow, so yeah, overall the photo is pretty average.
When I saw these traffic lights, I just really loved the composition, especially with all those power lines in the background that I thought make the scene look very interesting. When I looked that way, I noticed the train was just on the bridge. The orange color of the train I think works really well together with the orange warning color on the bridge. Especially now I look at the photo, I saw that part of the bridge got slightly damaged, probably a truck or something that drove into it. I think together it works quite well. This is kind of a lucky shot. When I was walking across the street, I noticed this guy was just walking past there, and there was a line of light just behind him on the wall that just lined up with his head perfectly, so I shot this photo. I like how these three persons are positioned in the frame. They are kind of like equal distance from each other, but one thing I don't really like about this photo is the guy in the middle. The timing when I took the photo, his pose is not really quite what I like. Usually when I take photo of people walking, I like them to be more like the person on the left or the person on the right. They're both okay, you know, there's a bit of angle between the legs. I like it more. While the leg is slightly more like a vertical angle, I don't like it as much because it doesn't give me that sense of motion. And also ideally, I would like all these three people to have the exact same pose that I think will look more interesting. But yeah, that's the fun of taking photo on the street. You can't really control how people look or how they walk on the street. Another photo with three persons in the scene. I like the morning light which was shining from one side and create a bit of shadow, and this time all the poses are quite different, which I also quite like. I also quite like this photo myself. I feel it captures what I saw quite often on a street in Japan, you know, with a lot of cars, narrow streets, a lady holding the umbrella on a bright sunny day, and the street is also really tidy and clean as well.
Now, even though the camera doesn't have electronic viewfinder, but because this is an f8 lens, so focusing is relatively easy because yeah, you can see roughly where it is with peaking. And you don't really need very precise focusing. I do wish there's a few more marks on the lens. Right now there's nothing. So this is infinity, and I turned back a little bit. Seems to be the best setting for taking most kind of photos that I'm taking today. So maybe what I do is I just put a mark or something on here so that I can know. But to be honest, after using a few times, I know roughly how much I should turn anyway. So yeah, maybe I don't even need to look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? This scene. Bicycle, even better. The cool thing about when you're visiting another city and you go out take some photo on the street is you just have absolutely no idea what you're going to see, and that brings you a lot of excitement. That's cool, isn't it?
For this photo, when I saw the scene, I imagined the photo would look a lot better, but yeah, I don't really like the photo that I got in the end. Part of the reason is I think the framing is a little bit too tight. I think I should have left a little bit more space, especially to the top and bottom of the scene. So yeah, got a bit more space would be better, but because I was shooting with a prime lens and I actually didn't have much space to go backward anymore, so yeah, the framing is a bit tight. So yeah, in the end, I don't really like this photo.
This little street looks so cool with the lighting coming from front.
While I really like the lighting in this photo, but without any people or anything that is really interesting in this photo, I think the photo actually looks pretty boring. I think the bicycle looks cool, and I really like the shadow cast on the wall. All together, that makes the photo looks quite interesting. However, one thing I don't like is if you look at the wall, especially on the right side, it's not completely straight because my camera was not completely pointing straight forward. It's slightly tilted downwards, and because of that, there's a bit of perspective distortion. For this kind of photo, I would like to have the wall that is completely straight, completely vertical without the angle. So yeah, this is something that I could fix in post, but personally I would prefer if I got it right straight out of camera instead. I don't think this is a bad photo, but I also wouldn't say this is a great photo as well. Compared to the last photo, the composition of this photo is very similar. I was just standing right in the middle of the street and pointing the camera down the street, but I like this photo a lot more than the last one. Probably because the person on the bicycle is a little bit closer to the camera, so he is a little bit bigger in the photo. And I also have those orange cones on the opposite side, which kind of work together and make this slightly more interesting photo than the previous one.
Now, I will be lying if I say I don't want the camera to have an electronic viewfinder, but having said that, I think this camera is not really designed for me. So for its target users, I think most people just really wouldn't need the electronic viewfinder. So yeah, it kind of makes sense it doesn't have it. Again, if it's for me, I would like to have a lot more buttons and controls, but yeah, this is really not a camera designed for me, so yeah, it's okay.
I really quite like this photo. I like how the lady was holding the umbrella, and the umbrella has a pretty cool pattern on it. But one thing I don't like is there was another person behind the lady, which is kind of a distraction because he is standing right near the center of the photo, so your eyes would look at him instead of the lady on the right side. If I'm shooting with a lens that has a larger aperture, then I would choose to shoot with a larger aperture so that I can blur out the guy in the middle using the shadow depth of field, but since I'm shooting with an f8 lens, so there's really not much I can do about it.
Love this scene.
For this photo, I tried to create a leading line from the top left corner, which point all the way to all those bicycles are. So in terms of composition, I think it works okay, but the lighting is pretty flat in this photo. I imagine if there's some strong sunlight that shines onto those bicycles and create a bit of light and shadow, then this photo would look a lot better. I think this photo looks okay, but I would definitely prefer if there is someone, or maybe someone riding a bicycle, or maybe a cat or something that walk into the center of the scene where there's the light shine on it. Then that would make the photo looks a lot more interesting.
One thing that really captures my attention every time when I'm here in Japan is, if you look at the power pole, is it how you call it? The lines, the power lines that is mounted on it. It's just pretty crazy. There are like so many lines all mounted together. Looks messy, but at the same time, it looks also very interesting. The fixed aperture f8 is definitely a big limitation of this lens, especially if you want to take photo under dark environment. When you're taking photo at night, f8 means you have to bump up the ISO a lot. But when I take photo on a bright sunny day right now, then it's much better. Having said that, have the aperture been fixed one, still have some limitation when you're taking photo on a bright day, because sometimes I may want to slow down the shutter speed a bit, but I can't really do much with this fixed aperture because I can't stop down to say f16 or f22, which I otherwise could. Alright, let's wait for the train to come and I take some photo with the train pass by. Like right now, for a situation like this, I would love to shoot at slow shutter speed, but there's not much I can do right now because it's so sunny and I can only shoot at f8. Shutter speed is still pretty fast. Okay, I walked about half an hour now. Probably should be walking back soon so I can have breakfast with the other guys. Should I keep going forward? Actually, let me see where I'm right now. Where am I? I'm here. Okay. Okay, maybe I go forward and maybe move this way. I think then I can walk back to the hotel. Why this one is not going up? I feel like I'm trapped here forever. And there's another train coming. I can hear it, I can feel it. It's awesome.
I think this one is a pretty weak photo. The composition is not really good, and I definitely like to shoot this photo with a slower
shutter speed to create a bit more motion blur to give you a better sense of speed of the train.
Now, even though the camera only has the electronic shutter, which means it may have problems like whirring shutter, but so far it doesn't seem to be really a problem. I've shot quite a few photos with fast moving subject that go in front of the camera, and it still seems pretty good. I need to have a closer look at some of the photos later on, but yeah, so far it seems like it's not a huge problem, unless you're shooting sports or something that you need to either shoot something that moves super fast or you're panning the camera super fast, but otherwise it's probably not really a problem or limitation at all.
Now unfortunately, my Insta360 Go 3 just overheated at this time, so there's no more video recording from this point onward. So let me just share with you some of the other photos that I shot later on during that walk. I quite like the composition of this photo, so it's symmetrical in both horizontal and vertical direction. So you have top half and bottom half that looks different, and then left and right kind of look symmetrical, which I quite like. I like to play with composition like this. However, at the same time, I do also find this photo a little bit boring for some reason when I look at it again now. So yeah, I feel something is missing from this photo, but otherwise I like the composition. I came to this street. I really like there's a building on the right and then there's a fence on the left, which kind of work together to create a frame for this photo, waiting for something to happen right in the middle. So I was standing there for a couple of minutes. Finally, there was someone riding a bicycle coming towards me. So I quickly shot this photo. I think the timing was quite good because he was pretty much right at the part that light would shine on him. You can see the light on his face, and then you can see a bit of shadow on the other side. To be honest, if I shot this photo maybe half a second or split second later, it would be even better, because then the bike would be completely in the bright spot, then we can see the shadow of the bike. Then I think that would be perfect. But now I think it still looks pretty cool. I quite like this photo. So I saw this guy walking his dog, walking towards me from quite far away. I thought it would be quite an interesting photo. So I walked past this little playground, and I really like this bright red color, especially with a bit of sunlight shine on it. It gives me a really good contrast to the green foreground and background. Another guy riding a bicycle. I think the photo looks not bad, but at the same time I feel like my composition is starting to get a bit repetitive. So because of that, I start to walk away from these little side streets, because that kind of limit how I can take photo, especially with this aspect ratio. And I also do different things like looking at different direction, like I look up and shot this photo. And this is another of my favorite photo from that morning. I just really like the light and shadow and the composition of this photo, and also that bright yellow bicycle right in the middle that creates the focus point of this photo. I quickly turned around and snapped this photo when I saw this guy riding the bicycle just right past me. I would definitely prefer to shoot this photo with a slower shutter speed, because that would give me a little bit more sense of the speed, because right now in this photo he looks like he was just not moving at all. There's no motion blur or any kind of sense of movement at all. But as I said before, because this is a f8 lens, a fixed f8 lens, so I could not stop down the aperture to give me a slower shutter speed. And I shot this photo on the same bridge. I just turned around, I saw there's a family mark there at the end of the bridge, and I really like to capture a photo with a kombini in the background, because to me kombini is one of the really cool thing about Japan, because they have the lovely selection of food that is very tasty and also very affordable price. So every time I go to Japan, I always love to go to kombini to pick up different snacks or meals or drinks. So yeah, I want to take a photo with the family Mark there. I was standing there for quite a few minutes. I shot a few different photos with very similar composition, and this one is the one that I like the most. So you see there's a patch of light there in the foreground. I think if that patch of light is shining on that person in the foreground, that will make this photo better. Okay, and this is the last photo I shot that morning. I really like that bright yellow t-shirt that this person is wearing, and the position where he stands really helped create this photo. Unfortunately, one thing I really don't like is that his legs are cropped in this photo. I would definitely prefer if his legs are not cropped. So if I was standing slightly back, like 1 or 2 steps back, then this photo would be much better. Now once again, I could have go back to the raw photo and edit it, maybe just adjust the framing slightly, then I should be able to include his legs and the whole body in the photo. But then for this exercise, I really don't want to edit any of my photos. So yeah, I'm sharing with you this not really perfect photo that I got straight out of camera. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I hope you like the photos, and I hope you like all these behind the scene comments and thoughts I add to this video. This is something I haven't done before, but I thought it could be quite interesting to hear me share with you what I like, but also what I don't like about my own photos. I think being able to criticize your own photo or any of your own work is a very important and useful way for you to improve. If you can't see what is wrong with your photo, then I feel it's pretty much impossible for you to improve. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Videos like this usually don't get a lot of views compared to my review videos, but I really enjoy doing that. So if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button or drop a comment so that I know there are some of you also enjoy this kind of video, and then I will create more in the future.